successfully destabilizing Boko Haram, and Barkhane is making joint investigation teams in Europol. Many countries represented here have taken. The GCTF does not operate in a vacuum, we know that. Our daily work supports the implementation of the... Federica, you have the floor.
Thank you, Bert. Let me start by thanking you, the Netherlands, Morocco. I believe that as co-chairs of this forum, your commitment to streamline the way we work is extremely appreciated. The Netherlands, as you have mentioned, have suggested to focus on these 5 R's: results, resources, relations, reinforcement, and renewal, and this sounds to us a very good roadmap for our work. Over the last 6 years, this forum has produced a tremendous amount of practical guidance and best practices, and now this work has to translate into better policies and better practices on the ground. It is vital for us to better connect this international forum to national governments and to local communities, because the threat we are facing can only be addressed if we can play on different levels, as the terrorists do so. The terrorist threat, you've said that, is evolving, has evolved already. Its nature has changed, both inside our own societies and internationally. Inside our societies, in each of our countries, terrorist groups are targeting our youth, not only those that cannot find a place inside our societies, not only the marginalized youth, but also those that are not marginalized at all. And I think this poses a lot of questions to us all on the model of integration of young people in our own societies, somehow what kind of place we offer to our youth in the organigram of our societies. Recent terrorist attacks in Europe tells us also that radicalization can happen not in a matter of months or years, but in a matter of weeks, and this also puts us questions that are new. Across the border, the threat is also evolving. The military dynamics in Syria and in Libya are generating new movements, new waves of foreign fighters who return from the battlefield to their own countries in the European Union, in the Arab world, in Central Asia, in the Balkans, in the Sahel. So there is a new global wave we have to face. Now, what are we doing? The European Union is working on new ways to tackle both the internal and the external, the international dimension of the threat. At home, we're passing new legislation to improve police and justice cooperation, to contrast the traffic of small arms, extremely important, to close the channels for financing. And we are taking much more seriously the work inside our communities where radicalization and recruitment happen. And here on this, we need to exchange more across the different continents on good practices on preventing radicalization. Outside our borders, we know by now that the strength of our partners is our own strength, and this is why we are focusing on capacity building, mainly in the Middle East and North Africa, in Turkey, in the Western Balkans, in the Sahel, and in the Horn of Africa. In North Africa and in the Middle East, our focus primarily in recent months has been on Tunisia, Lebanon, Jordan, when we are working jointly in the fight against terrorism, providing counterterrorism assistance in the areas of security sector reform, prevention of radicalization, including the recruitment of foreign terrorist fighters and their return, critical infrastructure, and soft target protection, extremely important also for the economy of these countries and also of our countries, including with regard to tourism, industry, and transport. We have developed a network of counter-terrorist experts in the EU delegations, basically our embassies. We currently manage a network of 11 counter-terrorism and security experts posted in our delegations in Algeria, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Libya, Morocco, Nigeria, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Tunisia, and Turkey. And we have just expanded it to Chad and Bosnia-Herzegovina, adding civilian counter-terrorism expertise also to Lebanon. Key areas of their capacity building support are where the EU has added value to bring, namely in the fields of law enforcement, criminal justice, countering financing, and also the work on counter-radicalization. We're also increasing the funds allocated to our partners to help working on new strategies to prevent violent extremism. We are currently investing more than 150 million euros on that. And let me highlight the excellent work we're making with Tunisia and Somalia in this regard. So as you know, we also co-financed 3 initiatives inspired by this forum, and let me thank the US and Turkey for their leadership on that. and each of them highlights one of the priorities of our action. The understanding of the complex phenomenon, that's a core business for EDAIA. Second, working on capacities. The Malta Institute is doing an excellent job here. And third, working on local communities as the Global Community Engagement and Resilience Fund does. It's also key for us, the work we're doing together with Turkey as co-chairs of the Horn of Africa Working Group. Let me conclude by saying that obviously, as Bert has mentioned, we also have a relevant work on the diplomatic and on the hardcore military work ongoing, being it in Africa, in the Sahel, in the Lake Chad region, or in Libya, on Syria. And let me conclude with something completely new. In the European Union, we are strengthening, consolidating, and expanding our work on counterterrorism, in particular starting to cross our own internal borders, internal and external policies and tools. And we have a new EU Commissioner for Security, Julian King, with whom I will be working together starting from next week on concrete projects that cross the policy and the toolbox we have on internal policies, tools, and the external ones. Thank you.
Very much, Federica, and thank you also for the leadership that the European Union and your work is contributing to this GCTF work.